Okay, it's 8:20 AM. We'll open the Lake City HPC meeting for November. Call to order, let's have a roll call
Judd? Here. Mike?
Here.
Joe?
here.
Jared? Here.
Okay, we don't have any other guest participants at this point. Was everybody able to have a look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Yep.
Yes.
Any questions or comments on them?
I don't have any. I have none.
Then let's entertain a motion to approve.
What was the date of that meeting?
7 October.
I move to make a motion to approve the minutes on, what was the date?
7 October.
7 October.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of 7 October. Let's put it to a roll call vote.
Judd?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes,
Mike?
Yes.
Jared? Yes.
okay. Okay, are there any, I think Jared, you had an addition to the agenda you wanted to talk about?
I do. Everybody knows Chris Athey and his building project next to Backcountry, out next to Ben's rental.
Yes.
You familiar? Mike, are you familiar with that building?
No, I'm not.
It's that little purple building that was moved there. He put a foundation under it a couple years ago. And he's
Okay.
This is just to, we'll have the discussion about it later, not right now. This is just to add things to the agenda. So, just say you wanna add a discussion of that.
okay.
Yeah.
I would like to add that to the agenda today, just to have a brief discussion about Chris Athey's project on Gunnison Avenue.
Okay, anything else? No. Then we move on to the action items. Perfect timing.
Perfect. Hey, Judd.
Good morning, Rob.
Jared.
Jared.
Rob. Good to meet you.
So at 8:23, we have Rob Hutchins here. And his CO application is the first one we have on the list to take up, and as he's here, we'll deal with that. He's asking for a, I mean, we had an initial discussion on this last week. He's asking for a 6-foot-high solid corrugated metal fence on the side of the property at 724 North Silver Street. We agreed that we'd look into how other historic districts deal with this kind of fencing. And I think Rob made some inquiries himself. Do you want to talk about that at all?
I just called, Telluride, town of Telluride, town of Uray, and town of Silverton. And I talked to a building inspector in Silverton, and he was quite knowledgeable. And he says, yes, they do allow that material, he says, but it's a case-by-case basis, and the fact that, like, if it's next to a 100-year-old Victorian house, it wouldn't be appropriate. If it's on the very fringes of the historic district, on a non-contributing structure to the historic district, he says that's fine, it's a fine fence. Telluride, they allow that material, but only up to 5 feet. Then they want like lattice or something else on the top. I don't know why, that's just was their deal. So on a 6-foot fence, you can't have it solid unless it's wood. The top 1 foot has to be something different, I don't know why.
Well, even if it's wood, as I understand it.
It could be lattice, it could be anything, it just doesn't matter, they just have some weird thing about the top foot. You're right, they have no requirements, you can have any type of fencing in their district that you want.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you said you called Crested Butte, I didn't call Crested Butte.
I talked to
Inquire
Crested
about
Butte
that.
also. No, I talked to, and I think we wrote up a little thing. Mike, could you read that? Do you have that in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, but yes, I did read it.
No, we need, let's see if I can find it to read it then. This COA is a request for a new fence. I won't go through this part, but we know what the fence is. Well, okay, it's the owner's contractor pointed out there are a couple of examples of corrugated metal in our historic district. Now, we discussed this a little bit last week. I mean, there's one, there's only one, because the other one was plastic. There's one right over here.
But that's, I know, but the plastic one's on an historic house. Like, I mean, that's an
I know,
historic
I
house,
mean,
you know,
all we can say to that is, things happened before there was a commission in Lake City, and, the town hasn't followed up on enforcing ordinances associated with that. Things were done prior, all we can do is, I mean, we're
Well, for
volunteers.
instance, I know like Bob Hall, the Hall property on Benson Street, that's a vinyl fence. And he put it up and said, whatever, I'm gonna put up this fence, sue me. Town never sued him, never followed up, never did a thing, he
Right.
put up a vinyl fence.
Right. No, and that's.
You know, it just, things have happened, I mean, I've been here a long time too, Joe, so no, like I.
You've been here
I've watched
much
these things-
longer than I have.
I've watched these things unfold before me, just
Yeah.
going, okay.
Well, I would simply, reply to that we're volunteers on a commission for the town, and, our job is to try to uphold the ordinances and, guidelines that the town has. What happened before us is another story, all we can do is try to, be
Well, remember, Joe,
consistent.
we're the ones that set this commission up, remember? With Leslie Klismeyer. This body didn't exist before then. She looked into the requirements of historic district, and that's one of them, you have to have historic review commission. So
Right, right.
that's when this commission was formed, back in what, 12, 13 maybe?
16.
16, that was my last year.
16, I mean, that was, I've been on it since then, yeah. At the last meeting, we agreed to obtain further information, including how neighboring mountain towns in Colorado deal with such fencing approval. Over the past, since the last meeting, I've spoken with, the Community Development Director in Silverton, Lucy Mulville, the, Senior Historic Preservation Planner in Crested Butte, the Historic Preservation Planning and Building Coordinator in Telluride, and the Senior Planner for Historic Preservation in Uray. Unlike Lake City, Silverton and Uray do not have certified local government agreements with the state of Colorado, which oversee historic preservation management, so that direct comparisons with Lake City are not really appropriate. And that goes to, I mean, your comments with regard to Silverton, they deal with it on a case-by-case basis. and they take certain things into consideration, but, it's not a National Historic District. It doesn't abide by the same kind of rules as the one in Lake City is supposed to. Same thing in Uray. In Silverton, they do allow those kinds of fences on the sides and backs of properties, but again, like you say, it's on a case-by-case basis. There don't seem to be hard and fast rules, so I don't know how consistent things are over time.
But isn't that kind of the situation we're in here, kind of a case-by-case basis? The very fringe of the historic district with improved material for houses, roofs, wainscot, siding, same nice-looking material that's not next to any historic structures. Well, there technically is. Roger rolled that one in on a trailer, so it's of zero significance to our historic district. You know, the one on, right across the street, that was rolled in on a trailer, so there is zero significance to our historic district with that structure. Even though it technically is a 100-year-old house, I think.
All properties in a National Historic District have significance in the district. And that's why there are rules with regard to new construction and so on, so that they fit in to a certain extent with the types of buildings that are already here. So to state that this has no significance is not an appropriate way to talk about it.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, Uray does not have such a National Historic District either, so they do not abide and have to, they do not have a contract with the state like Lake City does. They do not have, when Lake City set up the district, one of the perks for the town of Lake City is that it allows contributing buildings in the National Historic District to apply for state grant money. And that's why early on in the 70s, when John Parker was here, he got especially tax credits associated with altering the buildings and so on. And that's why the Art Center got a State Historical Fund grant, the courthouse, and so on. It doesn't work that way in Uray and Silverton. Anyway, in the town of Telluride does have a CLG agreement, and as you say, the rules that the guidelines that they have with regard to fences are short fences in front and up to 5 feet on the sides and back, or up to 5 feet solid. It can be solid up to 5 feet, but above that, it has to be, you have to be able to see through it. In Crested Butte, their rules are, you could have up to 6 feet, but with any kind of fence, it can't be solid. It has to have openings in it so you can see through it some. They do not allow corrugated metal fences in the main historic district. They do allow it in the warehouse, part of their local historic district. I mean, we wrote in here, we understand that the state of Colorado is planning to come out with building code updates that address fire resistance in building materials, and expect that these changes may affect appropriate recommended or required building materials in our town. Apparently, I just found this out on Friday, these guidelines or new codes, I guess, have been made and they're online. I haven't been able to see them yet. And they deal with, well, I don't know yet whether it's recommended or required, fire-resistant materials for siding on houses like, what, do you know anything about it?
Gunnison County has outlawed wood siding. You can no longer put up wood siding on a house in Gunnison County. Metal, stone, no more wood siding.
Okay,
Composites, fiber cement,
right,
no more wood.
That's
Because
part of it?
Because of fire mitigation.
right, okay. And, well, I mean, what it boils down to, I mean, Gunnison County has a CLG agreement with, the state of Colorado, but they do not have a historic district. On historic properties, that are designated as historic in Gunnison County, they're not required to change society to those kinds of materials.
No, existing's already grandfathered.
No,
Sure.
but
Yeah, but new
but
construction,
if
you can put
new
up wood
siding-
siding on new construction.
if new siding were to be put on that historic building, it could be wood,
Yeah, because you're replacing original material.
because you're replacing the original material. And so the same thing goes, Lake City apparently is, I don't know what Gunnison Town is listed, but a so-called level 2 fire danger place, which is higher than level 1. And so it has some of the more restrictive guidelines with regard to fire resistant materials. But apparently it does not say anything about fences in these new codes and so on.
As I read through the guidelines, it's just kind of surprising to me that you allow chain link. And chain link's ugly, like, and it's not a good material in this store. It's chain link fence, I'm just saying, like, and it's everywhere, but I read through the whole guidelines, I mean, I saw this about it.
I personally, I would agree with you. I don't think it's a good look, but it's stated in the guidelines that it's an appropriate fence on the sides and back of
Can
property.
be, like, this is
Can
not
be.
recommended, but
It's not recommended.
can be. I know, it's kind of like they put a little side clause on there, you know, going.
So when those design guidelines were made, somebody had some input with regard to making those things okay. No, we've already had some discussion in here as to a need for, revising our guidelines. And I've talked with our state representative, and they would be very open to a grant application to provide somebody who has an expert in helping towns come up with design guidelines. And I think that, I mean, yeah, I don't know if this is the time. My own personal opinion would probably be something on the lines of what Telluride does with fences in having up to 5 feet, and then the 6 foot being something that you could see, so that it's easier to see historic buildings in town and so on. I mean, we had this issue on fence heights and see-through ability and so on with regard to Svetlana's fence. We still don't know what the front of that is gonna look like, but she did put up the 6 foot fence with openings in it, so you do see through that and still see the property even from the sides and back. I'm gonna ask you guys each to come in a little bit on this, but I mean, from my perspective, Rob is talking about this town has a lot of examples of things that are sitting here now that don't abide by the guidelines, that were done before there was a commission and so on. I'm just a volunteer here trying to abide by what's in the guidelines at this point and be as consistent as I can for everybody that comes in here, and applies to.
Well, that's, let's just go with my neighbor, corner of 3rd and Henson. Broken in his monstrosity of stuff over there. Was that an approved fence, log rounds between trees? That was put up 2 years ago. round logs stacked between trees. I mean, I guess you could say it's your firewood, but it hasn't moved, it's a fence.
Yeah,
And then it hooks back into an RV on the side of the house.
But
I'm
it's
just
not,
saying,
but it's not a permanent structure.
it's not a permanent structure.
No.
Quote, it's,
We just put one up too between my house and the annex. We live at 430 Silver and Brenda Wagner's old house. Just built a 60-foot log wall that, will come and go. And if it doesn't get cold this year, then it won't go, and wait till next year. But I think that's the argument for the log. Joe has it too, is that it's not permanent, so we don't have any discretion over it. We can't, we don't have any jurisdiction over
I
that.
mean, that's, I'm guessing that property is a place that the town will be doing something with enforcing.
I sure hope so.
There's a little money over there.
It's terrible. You know, I've talked to the owner, they're 3 months behind on rent, it's a joke. Nothing seems to get done, and I'm waiting for gunshots. I'm seriously, like, I'm waiting for one of them to kill each other. Screaming and yelling in the middle of the night, out in the street, it's terrible, like, it's constant.
So,
That's what I have to deal with in my neighborhood.
okay, where I'm coming from is, insurance companies are really getting strict. I know for a fact that, and I checked this with one of the local realtors and also, and the, a fence, a metal fence, on the setbacks, would make a difference. And the reason I'm saying would make a difference is that, a good example is with, in the Coffin's house, got on fire. The fire, department did an excellent job, excellent. But the house next to it, which was, did receive some fire damage. And, if there would have been, less because of that fence. I do not, and it's not part of the question about on the front, but that to me is important, and I think it's also, I haven't contacted the insurance companies if things like that makes any difference. I didn't do that, but, and a lot of this stuff is personal opinions and like on aesthetics and that's a fact, not and we're supposed to be going by the rules and not what we personally like. But, like a bright, galvanized corrugated, fence, to me would look industrial-like, and, it'd be many years before, it's gonna change anything on that. The natural rust at the thickness of the gauge is, I don't know how many years, but in our climate, it's many years. But, I can see, to me, is where the fence line is on where it's obstructing, the views of the historical buildings is where, and that would be in the front, and that's how I feel about it. And the only thing with Telluride, we don't have that in there, but I don't, what's the difference in the 5 foot or the 6 foot? And I tell you something else I saw in Montrose, but this is more money again. But I think it's called the Camp Robber. It's a restaurant. But when we were walking in, my wife and I, and this has just been recently, is what they did is they have the corrugated, and then they have the top like the mountains, cut out.
They had gone higher and they had carved like the mountain in the distance. And actually, I'm gonna do that at my mom's house, right by the general store. She saw that, and she wants that at her, I'm building her a fence too, in Wade's edition.
Yeah, no,
And that's what we're gonna do, she wants to have that
I was
look
just
of our mountain
commenting
line
about, doing
on the
something
fence in the front.
or, okay, that's where I'm coming from.
Jared?
Clearly, this is something that needs to be discussed, and maybe the design guidelines need to be changed at some point. But I don't feel like I'm in a position to, go too far away stray too far from the guidelines. I fully realize that there are examples of fences in town, or other components to houses, structures in town that don't fit the guidelines, and like Joe said, a lot of that stuff happened before HPC existed, a lot of it happened in spite of the HPC. But I think it's neither here nor there, like, it doesn't matter what today, we're dealing with the guidelines that exist, and I feel like, sort of stick with what's in these pages. And, again, I agree that we should address this, looking into the future, but I don't think now is the time to make that change. And I don't think we have the ability to make that change. That's my understanding. I did see, just kind of an add-on, like, I drove to Pam a couple days ago and saw 2 fences while there. I think I sent those to you. Saw actually one in Hotchkiss and one in Peonia. Both were solid metal. I suspect you would do a much better job than they did, but
These things don't look all that good.
they don't look all that good. Like, I personally don't mind the
No,
look of it.
I think I'm pretty good at what I do, and it would be a very nice fence.
Yeah. And I don't doubt that. But like, the trick is, and we dealt with this with Svetlana's property, is that I fully trust Svetlana, and I suspect I fully trust you, but it's a slippery slope. We start allowing metal fences, and we get a variety of metal fences. One is scrap metal that was pieced together and was, attached to uprights that were sort of fixed in the ground in enough wind, and there's a lot of leverage, like a sail, and it starts pulling on them, and now those fences are kind of wavy, part falling over, somebody didn't do a good job in the one in Hotchkiss, and it looks pretty junky.
Well, no, I'm gonna use steel posts, like,
Yeah.
concreted in the ground, like, no, it'll be clean, neat, and straight. It's not gonna blow over.
Again, it's not you that I'm worried about, it's the other applicants that don't have your skill set, that don't understand conceptually like how this works and what what to look for, how to build a strong fence that'll stand up to whatever conditions exist.
To a
So-
certain extent, we could say that about any kind of fence. Some people build
Sure.
really bad fences.
Sure.
I think, I did run it by people that were involved with, coming up with the design guidelines that we have, as well as our town historian, and just, in terms of what historic districts, are supposed to try to emulate, is what the town looked like back in either the mining era or the tourist area. And these kinds of fences are not part of that history in Lake City. And that's part of an argument for at this point, thinking they may not be appropriate at this point either. Mike, can you comment on this?
Sure. I totally sympathize with your desire to want to have a fence that's not going to that require a bunch of maintenance and it's not going to be exorbitantly expensive to put in and will be fire retardant. We don't get to make those calls, and whether or not I think it's going to look great, I think it would look great, but it's not our job to be the aesthetics police. All we can do is go by the guidelines that have been established and try to remain consistent with those. So, unfortunately, I just don't think that a corrugated metal fence adheres to our guidelines as they're already established. And I do think this puts a fine point on our need to revise and update our guidelines um, as soon as possible. But under the current guidelines, which that's all we have to work with at this point, I just don't think it's consistent with those guidelines.
Okay, thanks. Any further comments?
My only comment is these are guidelines, not ordinances.
They're guidelines, but not ordinances, and
They're not law.
all our problem, and you're well aware of it. There's a slippery slope on, yes, you could say each one is a separate case and so on, but, we have a set of guidelines that try to make it so that we're fairly consistent over what we make decisions on. I'm not comfortable with, going outside those guidelines and making decisions where somebody will come back to us and say, well, you let this happen here, it's not in the guidelines, why can't we do what we wanna do here? It makes it too hard for us to try to deal with these things. And I'm sorry that that's what the case is right now. From my own perspective on it, in the future, I can see good reason for having some type of metal fence. I personally would probably go towards the ones that, the guidelines that they have in Telluride, but I'm not comfortable at this point with changing what's in the guidelines. And with that, I think we're at a point, unless anybody has any last comments, that we are at the point to entertain a motion on this one.
I don't have any additional comments.
Although some accommodations for expanded use of solid corrugated metal for example, in fences, may be appropriate with needed future revisions to our historic district design guidelines. At this time, and this is the subcommittee, Mike and I were assigned to this one. We do not see that Lake City's historic preservation ordinance and design guidelines for the town's historic district allow for solid corrugated metal fencing. Accordingly, we cannot recommend approval of this COA request. But we need a motion on this. As the chair, I'm not supposed to be making those motions, so we need to have somebody else do it.
Judge?
I'm not gonna make a motion, vote against the motion I'm making.
Just to clarify, is the motion to approve the recommendation, or is the motion to deny the COA?
The motion would be to deny the COA request, yeah.
Okay, what's the COA number?
2025-14.
I'd like to make a motion to deny COA request 2025-14. For
Corrugated metal
for a
fence.
corrugated metal fence in the historic district.
Yeah, at that property there, okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, to deny this, COA application. Are there any last comments with regard to that particular motion? If not, then we'll have a, roll call vote on the motion.
Roll call, Judd,
No.
Mike,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
Jared, yes.
okay, the motion passes 3-1. sorry, I mean, at this point, well, I think if you wanna take this further, the rules have changed a little bit about how things can be taken from this point to the trustees. And you need to talk with Lex about, what that might be. I mean, our argument would be that if this kind of fence is to be approved, there needs to be a change in the design guidelines for the historic district.
Okay, got it.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, the next one on the list is COA 2025-16, 724 Henson Street, Ben Higgs property, a request for a large new shed on that property. I think it's you and Mike
Yep.
are dealing with that one. Does one of you wanna explain what this is about?
Mike, you wanna take the lead on that one?
Sure. I can just read the recommendation or the,
Okay.
so this is an evaluation recommendation for COA 2025-16, 724 Henson Street, a new pre-built 14 by 30 shed. The COA is a request to place a new pre-built 14 by 30 shed on the southwest corner of the property. The shed will have a porch facing the alley across from Backcountry Base Camp and will be constructed with a dark gray metal roof and LP Smart Side engineered wood siding, which will resemble cedar stained T111 siding. The shed will sit kitty corner from a house, which will be built on the northeast corner of the lot at Henson Street and Highway 149, which will partially block the view of the shed from the street. We recommend approval of this application with a request that the applicant explore batten trim and a window color similar to that of the roof rather than the bright white vinyl window. Thoughts?
Go ahead.
No, I just said thoughts.
I don't understand what you said.
Thoughts, what do you think about it?
Oh, thoughts, oh, okay.
And I couldn't hear you.
I've got my hearing aids in, so I know. What did you got this for?
So what is, I mean, at this, you've made a recommendation, has this been discussed with the owner, applicant?
Yes. I went over there and met with him, and then I followed up with him a couple of times, talking about our concerns that it's a pre-built prefab shed that's on a very, well, it's on the front step of Lake City, you know, as you enter town. So I asked him about that, and he said he guarantees that once he gets done with that house and the landscaping that he's going to put in front of it or behind it, that you won't be able to see the shed from the street. It's facing an alley. He's amenable to putting on some batten to soften the look of the prefab, and he's checking into options for colors on vinyl windows. I double checked with him on Friday, and he has not heard back about the windows or the batten yet. But he is amenable to doing that if it's available.
Okay, I'm just curious, is this something that that would happen when he orders the building, that they would put it on, or is this something he would put on after, well, the window would have to be, unless it gets painted or something like that. I'm just curious to how that would take place.
Well, he's exploring those options right now. I'm not exactly sure how
Okay.
it would take place. But he said he's looking to see if there's any availability of a darker gray window that will match the slate gray roof that the metal roof that he's going to put on the building. And from what, I took a look at the website he sent, or I looked at the website uh, for the material that he wants to use as siding, and it says that you can work with it, you can nail in it, you can. So I would imagine that he would probably have to add the batten to it.
Oh, okay. No, but then my
I'm just
thoughts.
speculating, though. I haven't got those answers for sure.
Okay, my thoughts are basically this, I mean, this kind of building material prefab construction has been approved for sheds in other parts of Lake City. So, again, just in terms of consistency, I don't think we're in a position of saying, in this case, we don't want it. In other cases, we've already approved it in places. But and most sheds are in the back of properties where they're not highly visible to the public. This is in a different situation. And I think that the discussion with him about the visibility and that this is a recommendation rather than a requirement is appropriate in the way you've worded this thing.
Okay.
Any other comments? Any comments?
I do not.
Okay.
It's not a deal breaker, but I just neglected to consider this in the past week or so while we've been dealing with this, or 2 weeks anyway, that the new shed is 14 by 30, so 420 square feet.
It's big.
And then the house is 644 square feet, plus a porch, which, arguably adds some mass to it. So the shed, while it's smaller than the main structure, it's not exactly subordinate to it, but I also trust that Ben will do a great job with it, and where he's as good as possible. And, to be fair, he's not building anything like, say, the extended length. It's not, it's fairly consistent with the rest of that alley. So,
Okay, no, but that simply brings up the point, I mean, we're calling this a shed, it's big enough to be something other than a shed and be used for something other than just a shed.
for sure.
And therefore the way it gets looked at might be a little bit different than traditional sheds all around town. That's all. But are there any further comments? If not, I think it may be appropriate for a motion along the wording that you talked about, Mike.
I don't have any other comments.
I have no other comment.
Would you like to repeat that wording you used earlier and make a motion, Mike?
Sir, how much of the wording do you want me to repeat?
Well, that it's
The last paragraph?
that it's approved with the recommendations that you made.
Okay. So, in the evaluation recommendation of COA 2025-16, we recommend approval of this application with a request that the applicant explore batten trim and a window color similar to that of the roof.
Okay? You've got that written down that you can send to me afterwards?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Jared,
Please.
did you forward that to him?
Yes, well,
Well, I have it in an email, if that's what you
Yeah.
mean, and that's the exact wording in there.
Yes.
yeah, Joe's asking for the
I
exact.
mean, I
wording
just
of the
have to know the
motion.
exact wording so that when I write the approval thing, I have the exact wording that was in the motion.
I'll forward it to you, Joe.
We don't have a secretary in this organization right now.
Not even close.
Okay, forward that to me.
Okay.
We need a second.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second. Let's have a roll call vote on
Judd,
Yes.
Joe,
it. Yes?
Mike,
Yes.
Jared, yes.
Okay. Remind me on the last one with Rob's, you made the motion? Who seconded it?
I think Mike seconded it.
Yes.
Yep, in fact, I wrote it down. Mike,
Okay.
3-1.
Okay, action item number 3 is COA 2025-17, Presbyterian Church property. The request is the major part of it is repair siding and probably some structural material on the steeple of the church itself, very historic church, as well as perhaps some small replacement of siding on possibly all 3 buildings, and the replacement of storm doors on the manse and the Darley Hall. See if I can find the Okay, it looks like I don't have it in front of me here, but anyway, Judd and I dealt with that one. Do you by chance have a copy of the evaluation
Yes.
in front of you?
Yeah,
You
right
wanna
here.
read that?
Yes. Evaluation recommendation for COA 2025-17, 429 North Henson Avenue, Presbyterian Church, Mace and Delray Hall, repairs to church steeple, to storm door replacements and some siding repairs. The CEO is a request primarily for replacement of the steeple parts on the historical church, possibly minor siding repairs on all 3 buildings, along with replacement of current relatively modern storm doors on these manse and Dallery Hall. Various steeple sidings and decorative aspects and possible structural parts show considerable evidence of rot, and where this is confirmed repair and replaced where necessary as requested. All steeple and siding repairs replacement will be done with wood to match current designs. It is recommended by the HPC that clear cedar be used for replacement parts on the steeple. If decorative wood support structure can be repaired with these special wood epoxy used in historical restoration, such as recommended. Otherwise, replacement is acceptable where required. Steeple siding will be replaced with wood milled to match current designs. This was confirmed at the site visit, but is not mentioned in the written application. The application also mentions color changes for repainting all buildings. The HPC does not weigh in on colors other than to recommend in using historical appropriate colored plate. We recommend that the COA application be approved with the consideration that any wood replacements match existing exterior milling design patterns. Joseph L. Fox and Judd Hollingsworth, 10/29/2025.
Any comments?
No.
Okay, that's a long, approval recommendation, and it's one of the ones since, let's see if I can remember here. In their application, what does that say about, in their application, they didn't mention something? Cause that needs to be in the motion.
It is recommended by the HPC that clear cedar be used for the replacement parts on the steeple. And that actually should be, non-structural, because cedar's not structural. And that could even be, it says recommended, it didn't say we have to do, they have to do it. And the reason of that is that if they use pine, you're a lot more your expertise on this than I am. But the reason that was suggested on using clear cedar versus just the pattern knotty cedar is that holding any paint materials, knots have pine and cedar have a tougher time the more knots and the bigger they are. Another thing on this is what we saw, it's not that much material that's good. I think the mill setup's gonna cost them more than the material, even though the material, by using even a higher rate. And that's, I'm just wanting to explain the recommendation that, and if they didn't do that, as long as they did this is a discussion, as long as they use the same pattern on the repairs where they can, that,
Well, it sounds like it needs to state, Clear Cedar is recommended on non-structural exterior.
Yes, the non-structural.
Non-structural
That's what's
exterior
important,
parts.
because if you say the other is gave, if it happens to be something we can't see, you don't wanna, you wanna use a stammer,
Okay,
like a hamburger.
okay. Well, I'm still not
Okay.
remembering what, I mean, in the application, tell me if I'm right, that they didn't state that they would, replace with, they would match the design that's on it.
Yeah,
Right?
they did say that.
They didn't say that in the application.
Oh, well, this is the application, oh, this isn't the application.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I don't have the application.
No, but can you read that sentence where it says that? I just wanna hear it again.
The one we're recommended?
No, where it says that they didn't mention
Oh.
matching the pattern.
Okay. It's a dash, this was confirmed at the site visit, but is not mentioned in the written application. I'm gonna go back, I'm sorry, okay? Okay, this is the first of the sentence. Steeple siding will be replaced with wood mill to match the current designs. And then it's dash, this was not confirmed at the site visit, but is not.
No, wait a minute, this was not.
It was confirmed, I'm sorry, was confirmed at the site visit, but is not mentioned in the written application, so that.
Okay, I mean, to a certain extent, a motion should probably rephrase that a little bit, just saying that, it needs to be, needs to
That's
match.
not recommendation.
That's not a recommendation, that's a requirement,
Yes.
yeah. But I'm gonna suggest at this point, we just take that wording in there as being a long motion. Recommend to approve.
What if we do, I am just, this, as you saw as soon as I read it, that on the application, if we say approve with the difference is that the steeple siding will be replaced with, wood milled to match the current designs.
That sounds good, but, because, I mean, the application itself was so minimal, in terms of describing what they wanted, the reason that we wrote that in such detail is it needs to be explained a little bit, and that's, we hope for applications to be a little bit more detailed in describing what exactly they're doing. This application did not do that. We had, I mean, you were there just when we talked with Jason, but I had a meeting with Tom Arnold, and he explained all that. And what that means, that we don't have that written from them, we only have it verbally. We need to write it out, what he said they were gonna do and so on. So with the change that you just made, I would use a big chunk of that paragraph
Yes.
in there as the motion, yes.
Well, I don't have a problem on using this and just instead of saying, you know, leaving out that one.
Yeah, no, I think that it'll make it easier on all of us.
That's when, then we'll have this.
Yeah, it's not that long.
That's right, which one, you talk about what we're eliminating or changing?
Well, you already described what we're changing,
Okay. We're not changing any of that.
Okay, I would suggest a motion that would start out with, I move to approve COA 2025-17 as proposed, dash, that is, and then starting with various steeple siding.
Sit down, just. Is there any other comments? I don't want to do a motion if there, I mean, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, Mike, do you have any comments on this one?
No, I don't.
Okay, I just didn't want to go blustering through something and somebody have, okay. I'd like to make a motion, to approve COA 2025-17, 429 North.
No, just 17.
Okay, all right.
And I would just start as, approve as proposed, that is, and start with all steeple,
Okay,
but with that little change,
okay. Just start there?
yeah.
Okay. All steeple and siding repair replacement will be done with wood to match current design. It is recommended by the HPC that clear cedar be used to replace parts,
Non-structural.
non-structural parts on the steeple. If that's it.
Well, no, I would continue. If
Okay.
deteriorated wood supports,
Let me say it so we know. If deteriorated wood support structure can be repaired with special wood epoxy used in historical restoration such as recommended, otherwise replacement is acceptable where required. Steeple siding will be replaced with wood mill to match the current designs. This was confirmed.
no, just drop that part.
Okay. That's
I
it.
mean, we can include this because the application talks about painting,
We're not responsible for that. We can mention it.
but that's what this sentence says, so
Okay,
it just
okay,
informs
okay,
the applicants that.
Okay, the application also mentioned color changes for repainting all buildings. The HPC does not weigh in on colors other than recommended using a historically approved color
Palette,
palette.
okay. We'll,
Clean the question. Question later. I second the motion.
okay.
It's a hard one. Hold on.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. It's one of our longer motions, I admit. Are there any final comments on that motion and, second, on that motion?
Nope.
No, okay. Let's have a roll call vote on this motion, related to, COA 2025-17.
Joe,
I approve, yeah.
Judd,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jared,
Yes. Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, next one is, COA 2025-18, 105 North Henson Street. The Ellis property, it's a duplex just to the, south of the fire station. This requests siding replacement, windows and door trim and a front deck replacement with roof. Let's see if, yeah, here. Do you have the evaluation in front of you?
I can possibly get it.
I've got it right here.
Good.
Well, do you have it?
No, Mike's got it.
Okay, well, you and I are the ones that wrote it, so, I mean, we're the ones that need to comment on it first. So I'll read it, it's, this COA's request for replacing the vinyl siding on this 1970s duplex. Replacing the vinyl siding with stucco on the sides and rear and wood lap siding on the front, and to add wood trim to all windows and doors. It also requests replacement of the current wood front porch decking with composite decking and the construction of a new roof, wood supporting structure and metal roof to cover the porch. These requests are in line with acceptable exterior materials for newer buildings in the historic district, and the removal of the vinyl siding is commended. We recommend that this COA application be approved as proposed. And the application itself describes well enough well, let me see if it does.
I think it's pretty good.
I thought it was too.
Well, what it says is remove vinyl siding from all four sides, horizontal wood siding on front, stucco on sides and back, wood trim on all windows, doors, replace existing porch with a composite deck with shed roof covering. They don't say what the material is for the shed roof. So, I mean, our choices here are to use that full wording in the evaluation, or to simply say approve as proposed, noting that the porch roof is to be metal. I mean, he doesn't say that in here. When we discussed it with him, that's what he said, and that's,
Okay, we have it covered, if that's, he said it and we have it in the motion.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's why it has to be in the motion, because
I
it's
get you.
not in the application,
Yeah,
that's all.
good.
So, somebody wanna make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve COA 2025-18 as proposed, with the condition that the roof on the deck be metal.
Good enough?
Yeah.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any last comments? Nope. Then let's have a roll call vote on this motion.
Jeff,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
Jared, yes.
I'm gonna go back.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry to do this. I'm gonna have to leave pretty soon. I've got a meeting downtown that I need to leave for in about 5 minutes.
okay, well then I think, let's see. We have one more COA to deal with, and that's the addendum for the house next door to Mike's place there. We'll have a little discussion about that. Mike? Yeah, okay, well, I'll bring you up to date on this, the workforce housing business and the other stuff later.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've already mentioned the, this, on the state website, I mean, one of these architects at the meeting, the public meeting that was held about workforce housing, one of the architects said he would send me the link for this, the site on the state's website that describes the new code requirements with regard to building materials in towns with different levels of fire danger. And as soon as I get that, I'll send that to you guys, that
Okay.
same, so you get to see it also. Okay, but I mean, well, if you could state, I'll just say a few words about this last COA is, an addendum to, the approval for, the addition to the house at 513 North Gunnison Avenue, the one next door to Mike's property. Because the siding was all removed, which was not in the original application. The siding was removed on the north side of that historic house because of the fire and water damage associated with the fire at Mike's house. I mean, we probably should have contacted the owner early on with regard to what he planned to do with that. But the builder for that should know what the regulations are here in terms of replacing siding on historic houses and so on, but they never put in an application for that for the owner until we forced the issue a bit. And it's, from my perspective, it's unfortunate that builders don't take that responsibility to heart with regard to if they're going to replace siding on a historic house in the district, they need to put in an application to do that. This was not done until last week, and in contradiction to what the regulations are with regard to COA applications, the builder did not wait until the approval process here before putting that siding on, so the siding has already been put on. My own, this is something we need to talk with the town and the trustees about in terms of having people abide by the ordinance and the application process for COAs in the district. My own opinion on this particular one is that the siding that's being put on is wood siding. It was approved, it's the same siding that was approved on the addition to the house, so there's not a big issue with regard to a difference or inappropriate siding put on, so I don't think this is a big deal for us to deal with. The main aspect has to do with people in the historic district applying for COAs when they're required. And I will have a talk with Lex about that, and I will mention it at the trustees meeting in terms of making sure that people put in applications when they are supposed to do it. Let me read. So this is what the builder put in last week. Due to heat and water damage to the siding on the north side of 513 North Gunnison Avenue, as a result of the fire last year on the adjacent property, we are requesting an addendum to the existing COA to remove and replace the siding with a custom milled wood siding matching the existing siding in size, shape, and species. The existing historic siding is 5.5 inches beveled SPF wood siding, which, as I understand it, means spruce, pine, fir siding, wood siding. We will replace the existing siding with like material. Any comments?
I just wanna make sure it's clear that addendum to the COA came after the siding was removed, disposed of, and replaced. It was all up, and then we get this, which,
Yeah, I mean, ideally, on a old historic house such as that, you only replace the siding that's necessary. There was no discussion with the HPC with regard to whether some of that siding was still appropriate or not. It was simply removed. And I can mention that additional siding at the lower base of the house on the east and south sides was also removed and replaced, which is not in here. These are things that are not appropriate adherence to the historic district ordinance that Lake City has. It's already been done. Do you guys have any opinion on whether it's appropriate for us? I mean, is this something we deal with? I take Jared's point, a statement needs to be made with regard to how this was adhered to and how the procedure was not adhered to. And a motion should indicate that, a statement to that effect.
what are your thoughts?
I think everything, is said, I agree with. It wasn't handled properly. The thing to me is, are we required to approve, or, well, I'm asking if,
The whole point of going through this process is so that when the state reevaluates historic buildings in a historic district, they can look at a record of what changes were made to those, especially the historic buildings that were there, whether siding has been changed, what kinds of things were done.
okay, I don't have a problem making a motion, to approve it, and what I would like some input is, and I know Mike's trying, has other obligations right now too, but I need what a proper wording is saying that this was not handled properly, and that in the future there might be consequences, but I don't know what those consequences may be.
I think, yeah,
Because
this was not handled properly. The HPC needs to, I mean, I'm just,
yeah, I tell you what I feel comfortable about on the motion part is saying, accepting, the COA, because of, water and fire damage, but the application was poorly done, and there may be consequences in or not done properly, and there could be consequences in the future.
I don't know if we can say there,
Could be consequences.
we could say we think there should be, but I think what we need to say is the town needs to address.
Okay.
The town needs to address failures to to comply with the, proper process for COA applications, something to that effect.
Since you wanna make that, motion, the reason I'm asking you on it is because you brought up, and I totally agree. I'd let you know if I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, you have any thoughts on this one?
He's gone.
As I understand it, what we're saying is, we're approving the COA, we're approving it, but also noting that the proper procedure was not followed in this instance and asking the town. I just don't know what appropriate level of, response would be to this. I don't know what the repercussions would be. Yeah, there's no
We
teeth.
are not an enforcement group.
Right.
We do not enforce but we need to point out to the town that, this is unacceptable and that,
And we hope the town takes it seriously.
yeah.
Kind of undermines it. Yeah. If they don't, it undermines our efforts. And
Right.
that's unfortunate.
Did this arise from a misunderstanding of the expectations, or do you think it was?
Well, the builder should know what the rules are, and the builder does know what the rules are with regard to, applications for changes to properties in the historic district. And the builder ignored them. And this has happened before with this particular builder. We're not an enforcement agency. The town, all we can do is recommend to the town that they do something so that this doesn't happen in the future.
We gotta go.
Okay,
Guys,
Mike, we'll see you.
I've got to get going. So what do we want to do? What do you need from me on this?
If we make the motion and if we, and second it, then he can go ahead and vote.
Yeah, then he can go.
Yeah,
Okay. So in our motion, do we need to add anything other than we're approving making a motion to approve an addendum to this COA? You know,
Approve COA 2024-05 addendum as proposed, with a note that this was not, handled, the application was not, done according to procedure, or something to that effect.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the addendum to COA 2024-05 as proposed, with a note that the proper procedure was not followed, and we hope the town takes it up with the builder or the applicant.
second that motion.
Okay, that's probably good enough.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, let's have a roll call vote.
Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
Jared, yes.
okay, thanks a lot, Mike, we'll update you on these last little discussions we have later.
and Mike,
Okay,
drive
guys,
safe.
thank you.
Don't do something goofy and be in too big a hurry. Drive safe.
Okay. Protect Lake City. See
Okay,
you
see
guys.
ya.
Take care,
Bye.
Mike.
Okay, why don't you go ahead with what you want to talk about on Atheist?
Okay, so Chris ate you're familiar with the house, I think Mike was the only one that's not. I sent him a little, picture of the house, it's relatively recent, just to refresh his memory, but he's gone now. He, has, I think by now, he's submitted a COA to, apply siding, I think he already has a roof on his building, but a variety of sidings, like I think that, I haven't seen the COA yet, but the concept is that he wants to do a metal corrugated wainscot around the perimeter, and because of the lack of significant overhang, the roof, and then maintain the same wood siding that exists on the main house, and then in the top of the gable that faces, I think just the gable end that faces Gunnison, he'd like to do a rusty metal applique that he's gonna provide pictures for here pretty soon. I was under the
Metal
impression,
applique, what's that mean?
oh, just an applied metal, you know, in that sort of, in the top triangle of the gable, like we'll do shingle, he wants to do a little metal detail up there.
Is this decorative, or is this?
Yeah, it's decorative.
Okay.
I mean, it's just just like any other facade, it just covers the substructure. And, yeah, like I said, I was under the impression that he has, although I hadn't seen it, I thought when you originally mentioned it, that I had a conversation with him, I thought, thought sort of in my mind, without thinking too much about it, that he had already applied, he'd already filled out a COA, but he hadn't, and I wish I had told him to, so that it could sort of move this process along for him.
That's the easiest way to get it
Because
going.
he's ready to sort of get this thing going, so like, I sort of wanna take a little bit of responsibility, on that one, and request, I had a long conversation with him yesterday, and request that, assuming that we agree that what he's, requesting is appropriate, that maybe we administratively approve
We
this.
can't administratively approve it, but we could do a special meeting, that would be how to handle it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe have a special meeting to get him moving forward.
I wouldn't have probably need to be doing it for me to attend, and I wouldn't be a quorum, but, I could kind of Zoom. I might be heading out of town for a while on, probably Tuesday.
Okay, but you could zoom in if you needed.
Yeah, I would try to, I have no problem of having a special meeting so he can get it going, because I realize with the weather. And also, I think it'd be a lot nicer looking when it's finished and under construction too.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
I just wanna give y'all a heads up though, that y'all might have to work.
So how long are you gonna be gone?
I don't know.
When?
It could be all the way, to through Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I can do the Zoom, I'm just trying to make sure it's quorum, you don't need,
Sure.
okay.
Appreciate that.
And Mike's real dependable too, if he says he's gonna be there, he's gonna do his best to be there, on the Zoom.
Well, I mean, it sounds like have him, you discussed it with him a bit, have him put in an application, explain to him all the detail that we need in it, so it can go really quick.
Yeah, and I think he accidentally sent me the application, and I was like, no, you gotta submit it to the towns. I think it should be in the town's hands by now, so
Okay,
you'll be getting a copy of it, and I think it's fairly thorough.
okay.
I haven't read through it, but per our conversation, and yeah, I'm kind of happy to see what he's doing with the place.
Okay, good.
He's,
Well, that's-
he's a super thoughtful guy.
This is what I like to see, because he
Shares
came to
about
me first. And I mean, I had some initial comments and so on, but I know, I mean, Jared's been talking a bunch with, Justin Lamont. And, I just figured he would have a good conversation with Chris Athey
No,
about this.
that's great.
Yeah, this is how it should work.
And I also mentioned, just as a side, I also mentioned to Justin that should he make a change to his siding material, because he and I had a conversation, he wanted my thoughts, and I suggested doing a cedar above his metal wainscot, and maybe even cooking the cedar a little bit, some charring, just, sort of simulates charring and scraping. I've got it on this intersection of my house. And he liked the idea, whether he goes for it or not, I don't know, doesn't matter to me. But he now understands that should he change the material, he needs to request a change in his COA or his.
Yeah, I mean, that's, makes me think of what, yeah, I don't think we can deal with administrative approval and things like that, but yeah, those things, it gets to be a fine point of how much change is required for a new COA is not required, but an addendum just so that it's clear what the exterior materials are and so on, yeah. And I can't remember now, I should have mentioned it at the time, thinking about other kinds of things that when we do deal with a change, revision to the design guidelines, there are a number of things we need to be thinking about. I mean, when I mentioned to Lindsay Flewelling that the last time our good design guidelines was revised was 1984, we have a very strong argument to get grant money to see design guidelines revised. But it makes me think of also, and I didn't have it in here, I'll make a real brief mention. We still have a bunch to do. If you guys go, what do we have right now in terms of a website for the National Historic District? We don't have much. The old one disappeared. There are some things that you can get to on the town website right now, but there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done on that. And I've already done a substantial amount, but I'm gonna be explaining to you guys, we need help in getting some of that stuff done. Right now, we cannot go in and download the historic surveys for all the contributing buildings in the town. We lost some of that when they took down the old website that Robin Gowdy had been funding. So we have a bunch of stuff to do there. I'm gonna be taking off towards the end of the month and we'll be visiting family in California through next year. So I'll be in communication. I'll talk to Lex a little bit about the fact that I'm gonna be gone that long, but Judd, as vice chair, you're gonna have to be responsible for running some meetings here during that time. We don't usually get a lot of applications, so there hopefully won't be too much to do, and especially around Christmas and stuff, we don't. But for running meetings here, you'll have to take some responsibility for that stuff. Okay, the annual report went in. I hope you guys all had a look at that. it shows you what kinds of things the state wants to see, and wants to know about, each year that this goes on. And, the continuance of the certified local government agreement between the town of Lake City and the state of Colorado is dependent on, acceptable, reports being provided each time. And that's what, provides Lake City with the ability to apply for money, state money, and tax credits for, historic building restoration and things like that in the town. I went to the, last Friday, the, public, public meeting related to the new iteration of the workforce housing project over at that property next to the medical center. They're still fairly early on in the design. Jared and I had a meeting with, Michelle Pierce and, Bruce Verhiller, who were on the town's, committee dealing with that workforce housing project. Had a meeting with them and went over very initial drawings of the layout for that. There were more recent drawings, associated with this meeting. The architects who were there asked a number of, I guess about 20 people came, and they asked for, they had a whole bunch of pictures of different kinds of designs for the housing in that space, and asked for opinions of the people that were at that meeting, what kind of designs they liked and so on. And there were all kinds of different sidings and exterior materials and roof designs and things like that. We made it clear that according to the design guidelines, the couple, they came up with a couple of overall designs. Our design guidelines asked for gable facing structures, gables that face the public street, with Henson Street there. I made some mention that that's the most public view to the property there. There's also a public trail that goes by the river there, and so to a certain extent, the look from that is something to take into account. But they will be coming up, given that various input, with a more detailed design in the coming months, and we'll be dealing with meetings with them about that when they come up with those designs.
And then they'll find money for the project.
They got grant money for this to come up with construction documents.
I'm joking.
Then they have to find money.
It's just all kind of like,
Yeah.
it's a funny order of operations, but it's the way,
It's
it's the way it works when you want free money.
Yeah, right.
Well, per your annual report from the HPC, it was really good to read through that, just to see what the state is looking for, kind of from their perspective. It was actually pretty insightful and kind of cool, and sort of helps me understand a little bit more about what we do and why.
What we do and why, right?
Yeah.
And what the state wants to see in
Yeah,
terms of information about what's going on here.
Because it's not exactly intuitive, and
Some of it is not, and I've been on this a while. The first few years here, a lot of this stuff, I've been involved with conservation in a different regard, with regard to nature conservation and so on. But conservation of buildings and things like that, a lot of that was counterintuitive to the way I would have initially thought about it, so.
but what it points to, like the lack of intuitiveness, points to this is like a really thoughtful process and a really thoughtful component to Colorado's history and the future of it. So it's pretty cool.
There's a rationale behind it all.
Yeah, and it's not arbitrary at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe, back to, and I agree with what you said, it was helpful with me, but back on the website, so it needs to be a person that has, computer skills to be able to, give me basics, what, the type of person, I don't wanna be trying to get somebody to do something, and,
Computer skills, well, there will need to be a discussion with the town. I mean, we just, when Grant Massey left, I had a bunch of discussions with him, and he had promised to help do all this stuff and showed me how to deal with Google Drive and provide him all these things through that, and now that's gone.
what's the
So
step now?
I don't
I'm
know.
not fussing, I'm just asking.
I don't know yet. I mean, I assume that Christina may be assigned to deal with this stuff. I don't know yet, so I haven't had those discussions.
And I get it, you know, it's fall's crazy time for it.
I think to answer your question, I don't think that it requires some IT professional, but some kind of trainings, it's like, like, we have this, pile of information, we want it to look like this, and here are the 4 steps to get each of those things to look like this. Like, I think a small amount of training would sort of get anybody going who understands how to click and, how to navigate.
Okay, and I'm getting it, that, so basically the next step is what the town's willing to do to help first would be the first thing we need to do, correct?
Well, it's all gonna be on the town website,
Right.
and one, I mean, I had a brief conversation with Lex, cause I was trying to find on there what we could see. And, I mean, some of the historic buildings in Lake City, you can download the reports on that, but I couldn't find that. And Lex had to run me through all these different things you had to go through to get to it. That needs to be easier for people to figure out.
Okay, my question is, and
Yeah.
are you, and it's, I get it if you say I don't, are you gonna have time to discuss that with Lex before
Before I leave,
okay,
I'll be able to do that.
okay, then that way, yeah, okay.
The biggest question is, I mean, we got a lot of compliments on our website from History Colorado and other people. The structure of it was fairly detailed and so on, and there were all these links that showed up. But when Leslie Klusmeyer left, she took our website with her and did not give it back. And so we had to try to restructure it.
So, okay, so the procedure is, and I appreciate what you're, it's more responsibility, more time on you, Joe, so I'm not, so you'll discuss with Lex and whoever in the department, and then once you kind of figure out what their timetable is, you'll just get us back to us what we are needed to do, if needed, or to try to find someone.
Well, I guess the easiest way to put it might be, I mean, I'm hoping that they kept some image of what the original layout of the website looked like, because there were all these sections and links to different reports and things like that. If we can get a hold of that, then it may make sense to assign different ones of you guys to do some searches on the internet on History Colorado and so on, and find out where those links are, and let the town, and then we can let the town know, and they will be the ones to hook up those links to the website structure and so on. We don't need to try to figure that out.
Okay, no, that's, makes good sense.
But, I mean, having a website that, property owners, and it's already set up this way, there's a section for property owners in the historic district, information for them. prospective property owners, so people that are thinking about buying something in Lake City. There'll information, for those people, and that includes the buying history guide, for example. There's a lot of information, but right now it's not very available, for people that looking into it on Lake City. I'm curious to see what Lindsay, is reviewing that, the annual report, cause one of the things in the annual report is what is your website link? So she will be looking at that and trying to look up some things, and she won't have a lot of success right now. So we'll get some comments back associated with that. Okay, any last things?
No.
10:06, and we're, closing the Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you again.